Canadian hoop fans, stand up and give yourself a round of applause. The WNBA was a smashing success in Toronto this weekend. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Hoop Talks. Justin Pooni with Jelani Goodridge-Reid, Noor Zainab, and the WNBA queen herself. One of the hosts of the weekend, actually, if you saw on social media, Crina Mustafa.
Wow.
That was a good intro, right?
Thank you. I was wondering why I was going last. I was like, he went there,
saving
there.
the best for last. Because you were one of the official hosts for the WNBA this weekend. And as somebody who's seen you work so hard covering the WNBA on a day-to-day basis, great job, Crina. We're proud of you.
Wow.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff.
You never thought that was going to come from me, did you?
No,
you didn't. But I was a witness to a great game on Saturday. I know, Noor, you were there as well. Jelani was watching on TV. The Chicago Sky faced off against the Minnesota Lynx. The game was secondary. The Sky won 82-74. But the biggest takeaway for me was, Crina, before I pass it off to you, because you were front and center at the practices, media availability, everything, and I really want you to really give us the full explanation of what the vibe was like around the arena. But and I was telling this to Noor and Jelani off camera as well. It was just, for me, it was so impressive, the vibe at the arena. All the young girls there, just the fan support from everybody, and it was loud in there. It was louder than a whole lot of Raptors games this season. And in some cases, the basketball was a lot better than the Raptors this year too. But Crina, take the floor. Tell us from start to finish from this weekend's festivities and just what it meant to you, what it meant for Canada, and what it meant for the WNBA and the growth of basketball, especially women's basketball in the country of Canada.
I think, well, thank you, Justin, first of all. But I think the build up to it was so well done that I wasn't sure what to expect for the game itself. Like, I wasn't sure. I knew it was sold out, but I was kind of like wondering, like, is Toronto going to show out the way that they do for like Raptors games? And I think they passed that test like with flying colors. I think everything was well done, like in terms of the marketing of the game here. Like, I'm sure you guys saw all the WNBA commercials on TV, all the events around the city. Like, it was a full 3-day thing that allowed fans, like, even if you weren't going to the game, you could go and participate in like the Nike activation stuff, sign the sculpture downtown. Like, it was in different locations, like all these different things to get people excited about the game. I think was done so well. You could feel the city like humming with energy, and especially the fact that we had like good summer weather. I feel like that helped too, because summer in Toronto, as we all know, is a different vibe, and bringing basketball in the summer, which doesn't usually happen with the, with the Raptors, if they lose in the playoffs or if they don't make the playoffs. Like, the only time it happened was when we won the championship, like when it was later in the summer.
We played once in June. Yeah.
But
once. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Depending on schedule. Yeah. But so that to me was like the great vibe, 10 out of 10 vibes the entire weekend. I saw so many like little girls, little boys, like with going with their parents. I know a lot of girls that play basketball in Toronto, in Ontario, that were able to come and see. And something that was stressed in media availability too, something that Kalia Copper talked about, if you can see it, you can be it. And that was one of the things that she didn't have growing up. But now all these like Canadian girls who are going to grow up to be in basketball, they saw it, so they can be it.
Noor, you saw at the games all the signs of like, bring the WNBA to Toronto, bring, sign Becky, MLSE sign Becky Hammond and stuff like that. Future season ticket holder. From your perspective, being there, just how much was this a positive litmus test for potential expansion and just growing the women's game of basketball in Canada? Because I thought it was loud. People were in there. And I love the fact that there was families there. It wasn't priced out where people that, they did, like where I was sitting, there was families everywhere. There was little kids everywhere. Like, the fact that they priced it the right way to allow, the true basketball fan there, that was a big positive, was it not?
I think, honestly, for me, the biggest takeaway from that was you can put stats to it. You can put numbers to it. You can make PowerPoint slideshows. You can do everything when it comes to making a team come here. But to showcase the actual fans that really want it, this is how you do it. You show them what's out there. You get a feel of the crowd. You see how it's sold out. The WNBA merch was almost sold out by halftime. Justin and I were sitting there in the 300s, mind you, bought our ticket, and I'm watching watching people pour in, but it's, as you said, it was families, it was moms with their daughters, it was women having a girls' day, going on and watching, and it just felt like a sea of women being there to support other women, and it felt amazing. It showed me that there's so much growth that we need to take over, because we can do it. The demand's there, the market's there, the fans are there, everything's there. We just need to get that resources now. And once you get that, like, it showed us everything, right? You were there too.
Yeah, exactly. And Jelani, from a TV's perspective, I know the leading up to it, you saw the WNBA commercials, the promotion of it. Watching on TV, I was all female broadcast as well. Just how important was the exposure through TV to promote this game? Because we know TV revenue is such a big part in sports and sports business. How did you find that in the promotion of this game?
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great to see it, because you don't see it often, right? WNBA, specific videos, commercials, ads. You don't see those all the time, right? But when I was watching it on the weekend, that was all that it was. On TSN, it's fantastic to me. And even in other commercials that weren't, focused on the W, you even saw Kelsey Plum at Google Pixel video ad. So that's something I like to see. And I also saw a lot of people talking about it, right? Because you guys were probably at the game, so you're focusing on the game. You're not always on your phone. I was on my phone throughout, and I was seeing a lot of people on Twitter talk about it. It was trending.
You're probably seeing
the
my
hashtag.
tweets.
Yeah. I saw your tweets. Trust me, I saw your tweets. I think I liked one. But also,
one.
I think I liked one too. Yeah.
One out of like.
Hey, it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
But
She was retweeting everything.
but hashtag WNBA, hashtag WNBA Canada Game. All these sort of things you saw, and it wasn't just women. Right? It was guys too. And that's another thing, right? A lot of guys, I think you guys got to watch the games, man. I'm telling you, man, it's good basketball, okay? So it's not just the NBA out here, right? So I think that there is definitely a demand here. For years, I think there was a demand. We just haven't had the opportunity, right? And I think this can be a stepping stone moving forward. We'll see what Kathy has in store. She said that Toronto's on the list. Please and thank you. But I had fun watching it.
And we're going to go talk expansion in just 1 minute. I just want to get your thoughts on this, Crina, because we saw at the game, Masai Ujiri was there, Lou Dort was there, Serge Ibaka, who got a huge ovation from the crowd there with his daughter. How important was that for the exposure of the game, to have these prominent figures in basketball promoting this event and showing support?
Well, I'll tell you, NBA players, NBA people, they love basketball in all different forms. They always will go to these games. And it's funny to me that people don't know that, because they really do. Like, it's something that I've spoken to Becky Hammond about in the last several years, where she's like, these guys are super into basketball. They'll go to anything. There's a lot of players that regularly go to WNBA games, but it's always funny to me when they get put on the stage of oh, look who's here. This is so cool. Whereas for them, it's probably just another regular game.
Exactly. And like Jelani mentioned, WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert said Toronto's on a short list of 10 cities that the league is looking at to possibly expand to. This was a good quote from Nafisa Collier. She said, "You feel the buzz. We're on the streets and people are like, oh, you're here for the WNBA game. We're so excited. We're going to the game." Funny story. I'm at Cactus Club on Friday night having dinner.
Surprise.
Yeah, you can generally find me there. But there was, I believe it was part of the links. We're having dinner at the couple tables next to me, and people were recognizing them. People knew who they were. People being respectful towards them. But I think the buzz around the city was huge. We were
on my way over to work this morning. I listened to the radio. The radio had all the talking about the WNBA games, talking about how it was sold out, the vibe in the city. And honestly, this is my one thing too. If you give Toronto another summer team, do you understand the marketing? Do you know how many people want to be out and watching sports in our summertime? It's going to be one of the biggest cities, I believe, in the W if we do get a team, just because of not just the crowd, not just the fan base, not just the resources, but the weather.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Crina, so I want to again ask you this question because you're tied into this like nobody else. Is MLSC the only option for ownership for the WNBA? And if so, do you see them playing at Scotiabank, or would they have to play at potentially the Coca-Cola Coliseum by exhibition? Because I think the average attendance is around 5,000 or 5,600 last year. The Stormer led the league in attendance with just over 10,000. Of course, this preseason game had over 19,000. Do you see? So again, I'll pose the question: MLSC is the only viable expansion option, and if so, where do they play?
So before I talk about that, the reason the average attendance is like that, it's because some markets get so many and some markets get so little, so that number isn't
average,
really it's average, but it's not really indicative of what it means to actually have successful attendance, because there would be a different reason for every market. But I think, and this is my personal opinion, I don't think MLSC, well, this part's not my opinion, but MLSC is not the only ownership group that I think would be in the running to get a team here. I think MLSC should be the ownership group that does it in terms of the resources they'd be able to offer on a consistent basis for this team to be successful over time. But I think they should play in Scotiabank Arena. I think this weekend showed you that you can sell out those crowds. This was a preseason game. Do you know who usually goes to preseason games? Nobody. Nobody.
It's true.
All the other arenas during this preseason this year were empty. But not Toronto, because we know that we want basketball. People will go. If the tickets are affordable, they will go. And so I think they should play in Scotiabank Arena. I would not settle for anything less than that, and I think it'd be workable because you don't have NBA or NHL during the summer.
And Noor, we always have this talk about the NBA, and Jelani, I'll have you chime into this as well, that players don't want to come play in Toronto, people don't want to be in Toronto. But do you see that being a difference with the W, because there's so much more diversity in the W, there's so much more, it's a different vibe than the NBA. It's a lot less toxic than the NBA.
I think even beyond that, though, I think there's just too much talent. If you look around the W right now, all the teams are top heavy like crazy, and it's because you only have 12 teams to be working off of. So even if you give us a team, I don't care if they want to come here, don't want to come here. They might have to come here because there's so much talent out there, right?
Today they're making all the roster cuts, and it's been a little bit.
You saw even online, people talk about the cuts and how there's so many talented ladies that have to get cut and that have to ultimately play somewhere else, and they don't stay stateside. Or I think having a team here would definitely be beneficial, or even having two teams, because I heard the plan is to not just bring one but have two teams. We'll see what happens with that. But Natasha Cloud, she came out and said with the recent cuts with Washington, it was man, what are we doing here as a league? So we could see an opportunity here for definitely a lot of players saying, I would love to play in Toronto. It's another spot. It's a new spot. We could be the first squad to help this culture in Toronto with the W. I think it would be great.
And also look, TV wise, because again, I think the W reached its 14-year high this year in viewership across the league. And I think, look, they have the resource here in Canada now with two big broadcasts that were simultaneously broadcasting the game at the same time. The resources are here to do it, right? It's now up to the people with the position of power to go out there and do it. And if anything, what we saw on Saturday was this would not only be good, but it would be a smashing success for here in Toronto, because like you said, they're not just sports fans here. I think Bridget Carlton said that we want to show that Canada's not a hockey country anymore. I think that perception should be gone, because I think Canada as a whole is now a sports nation, and I think we see all the Canadian talent in basketball now, and just the people come out and a lot, right? And I think, if anything, Saturday was smash and test. The WNBA should really truly consider
it. Honestly, to me too, I'm sure Crina, for you as well, it's the same kind of way where you as a woman, and love you guys too, you men, but just as a woman, it really felt like we were doing something for our future. It felt like a very defining moment to be we're women and people care about what we have to say. They watch what we have to say, and there's a market for us out there. So this could be a stepping stone, not just for the W, not just for women, but other leagues, women in sports, women across the globe. So I think it works. It goes even beyond that.
And I want to ask you one last question. Again, I think the growth of the game at the youth level, and I was with Noor at the game, and I was saying just how impressed I was the fact there's actually girls basketball clubs, youth youth girls basketball clubs in the GTA.
I saw they were U13,
and they're all wearing their whatever the different
Ontario
hoodies and stuff.
South, Ontario North, and things like that. Yeah.
How important was this game for those girls to see a professional pathway to be a professional basketball player, and be a professional basketball player in your hometown?
It was so important. They were being interviewed. I saw a couple of them were being interviewed by like CP24 and like CTV and like all these news places, and you could just tell how much it meant to them. Like, they're young, but they understand the magnitude of the moment. They were like, if I could, like, literally, I know I said it before, if I can see it, I can be it. And Bridget Carlton, actually, she talked to us in media on Friday. She could not stop smiling, by the way, the whole time. She was like so at home. I loved it. Like, her vibes are amazing this weekend. But she was saying, she was like, when I was younger, I didn't really like know that I could make it into the W because I wasn't seeing any like anything on the Canadian side. And so, and she decided pretty late to go professional in her career. Like, in her last year of college, that's when she decided she wanted to go pro. So she's like, if I had seen a Canadian game like this earlier, I probably would have been more inspired
100%.
to go professional.
Yeah, and you don't see often, you don't see people talk about the W. I think that's going to change for sure. I think the viewership will be up this season. That's going to be great. A lot of people in Canada want the team. I expect there to be one here very soon. We'll see again what Kathy does. But I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. I just couldn't go this weekend.
We could have the next Thubert in Toronto, and nobody had any idea until you get a team here, you know?
And it's great because, like Crina said, the players, right? When they were younger, they didn't see it. So now the future can see it.
Yep.
Final thoughts on the game?
Bring a team here. Bring it here right now. Bring it tomorrow. Bring it yesterday. It's too late already.
Bring a team to Toronto, and then we'll bring a team to Vancouver right after, and we'll create the best basketball rivalry in all Canada.
I'm proud of you for waiting till the end of the show.
You know, if there's a team in Vancouver, I'll be sitting courtside every game.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, it was a smashing success for women's basketball and basketball in general across Canada, and we can't wait for the WNBA to return north of the border. This has been Hoop Talks.